Hello, welcome to Relish Lifestyle. We're on series 2, we're on episode 11.
Oh no, 11. Where has the time gone?
I don't know, but it's definitely getting dark. Time is slipping away.
I know.
So it's a bit scary, but we're hunkering down. It's another Sunday. And it's definitely sort of getting darker early, as we just said, but it's just suddenly cooled off, we were saying, haven't we?
Yeah, so Charlie likes to light the fire, don't you, Charlie? So we've got the fire lit.
We do, indeed.
What was it? They were saying it's almost like this time you kind of lean more into lighting fires, but actually into the kitchen as well, don't you?
Yeah,
I feel
definitely.
kind of inspired. I don't know, it's because you put the oven on and you feel warmer.
I think there's an element you feel warmer, but also because it kind of, it's comforting, it's warming, it's all those things together, isn't it? So it's all just, I don't know, it's something to do as well, because when the dark, it's dark, you can't go outside as such, or you can, but it's not the same.
Yeah, but I also think it's because you've got more time.
Yeah.
Because, in the summer, you're probably out until maybe 8, 9 or later. Whereas when it's dark, you probably do get in earlier, you shutter things down. You feel like you've got more time to maybe experiment and spend time in the kitchen.
Definitely.
I think, anyway.
No, 100%.
Now, Charlie, talking about, kind of hunkering down, did you know that actually on the 9th of November, I think it's British Pudding Day.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we could talk a little bit about puddings.
Well, I think what's amazing about what I call British pudding is it actually incorporates a lot of things. So it's not just a dessert or something that's sweet. There's a lot of facets to a pudding.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it's one of those things that when you do go abroad, a pudding to them is an odd word for us to use.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, I think they're very good. So even like the French, it's like patisserie or little creamy things or something with fruit. I went to a talk at the Literary Festival the other day, and it was Sabrina Gale who has written Persiana, and she just done Persiana Simple. But she was saying Persian people, especially the Persians, the Iranians, people like that, they just eat and eat and eat. She was laughing. She said they feast until they're full. So there's never really any room. Pudding isn't actually a dish as such, but they would have fruits.
Yeah.
Or maybe you would have those patisseries, a bit like that or something. Yeah. But she said that's how it works. She wouldn't stop. She said, you have all the food comes out and you eat until you're full. And then she said, but you don't then go, oh, we need to leave space for pudding or dessert. She doesn't work like that.
No.
Anyway, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But puddings, I think, for us are very much a separate dish, a separate course, if you like.
Yeah. And I guess the sort of caveat to that is something like Yorkshire pudding, which is an accompaniment to your roast.
Yes, I think it's probably the way you're cooking it, all the ingredients. But anyway, look, I've got my usual. I've done a few facts,
okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so traditionally, British puddings were savoury, you're absolutely right, and they really were meat-filled. And actually, it originates from the Latin word patellus, which means small sausage.
Okay.
So they were, as you were saying, they were all savoury.
Yeah.
And it would have been moved on, it would have been meat filled, and it would have been wrapped in something like the animal intestine.
Right.
So if you think about things like black pudding, haggis, right, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then they started to play around with what went in it. So they started to add suet, bread and spices. They also have what they called a pottage, which was like a thick broth.
Yeah,
that often contained meat and spices.
Well, the French word is still potage.
Yeah, but it also included things like dried fruit, like raisins.
Okay.
But it was never a dessert.
No.
It was always maybe a starch.
I mean, I love it. I love a savoury, what I would call pudding-based in pudding, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the ones you turn out suet. There's that lovely steak and onion one I've done a couple of times. You sort of slow and low for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just yummy.
But interestingly enough, Charlie, when you look back historically, like in the 16th, 17th century, they weren't specific, and you wouldn't have had a bowl.
No.
A pudding wouldn't have had a pudding bowl to cook it in. So this was all very experimental. They would just put these things in, as I said, testing, and then they would probably boil it or bake it over a fire. Anyway, it wasn't until the Tudor times when we were like expanding our network and going to other countries that we started to use more exotic things like sugar. Sugar became, sugar wasn't, we didn't have sugar, so it was fruit and things. Currants, nutmeg, cinnamons. And then as time progressed, but then as time progressed, slowly, it kind of became separated. And it's what I love when I'm sort of researching this is you realise how cooks did start to experiment as different ingredients, exotic ingredients, which we don't think are exotic anymore, but they came into everyday use, and so they started to experiment. So
there was also those things back in those days. It was what was then fashionable. So, like, if the king or queen or whoever said, "Oh, I want nutmeg on this," it suddenly became fashionable to have nutmeg. So, like tea. Because obviously it wasn't actually us. I think it was I can't remember, but it was a princess from another European country that actually brought the idea of sitting down for an afternoon cup of tea to our monarchy. It wasn't actually a British thing that we started, but obviously we took it on board and are now biggest tea drinkers in the world. But yeah, pudding is definitely I still think it's quite a British thing, though, a pudding. Yeah,
well, apparently it was the 18th century, so when we had the Georgian era, really, they brought a lot more refinement to eating.
But also, the other thing is, we have to remember, is like you just said, weights and measures and things weren't standardised.
No.
And people wouldn't have had scales. You would have bought your pound of flour from a grocer, but they would have done the weighing for you. You probably wouldn't then go home and then re-weigh it.
No, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't have salter scales like we did.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting when you just go through the ages how really it was meat.
Yeah.
Boiled or baked in an intestine. And it's just an easy way. And you know what? It was nutritional. They would chuck it all in together and they would have this nutritional meal. But slowly how ingredients came into everyday use and people started to experiment a little bit. And then it wasn't, as I said, until the 18th century, and it was the Georgian era that became much more refined, and puddings became puddings.
Yeah.
Though you had still savoury puddings, but you would have your savoury pudding and you would have your sweet pudding. And of course, eventually you go into Victorian era, very indulgent with sweets. And then we eventually started playing around and we have things like Bakewell puddings. But did you know that was a descendant of a Roman flan?
Oh, really?
And queen of puddings was historically called Monmouth pudding.
Oh.
And then eventually we started to get things like apple crumbles and stuff like that, which really was wartime when ingredients were less abundant. It was a great way to make a nice crumbly topping over some fruit. Anyway, so that's a little bit there on how our puddings became puddings.
I'm just going to talk about lemon pudding. So I always think for me, stool is still quite traditional in terms of you have your main sort of meal and then you have a pudding.
Yeah.
But I think I have some quite fond memories of school in terms of the sort of puddings that were served. So we had things like lemon meringue pie, which I couldn't stand. Because I don't like it. I just think it's very nice.
I love lemon meringue.
Yeah,
has to have a biscuit base.
But maybe I don't think the dinner ladies were, less than. But we always had what I would call like sponge pudding, which again is another sort of variation on
jam on it.
Yeah, well, there was sort of jam in it, but then you had this sort of like icing on top. But it was cut into squares. They did big, rectangular ones. But you always had custard.
Did it have lumps in it, the custard?
I can't remember lumps, but sometimes they're different colours.
Yuck.
Pink custard.
No.
But it just, it's like one of those things that I think probably any other school in the world other than a British school probably wouldn't have what I would call a pudding with custard.
I have to say, one of my nightmares was when I was at school. And so you have your school lunch and they used to, one of the desserts or puddings was this like crispy, they were like Rice Krispies. No, they weren't Rice Krispies. It was more like puff wheat encased in chocolate. which sounds lovely, but it wasn't. It was horrible cooking chocolate. And it was
like bitter or just...
And get this, it was green custard that was flavoured with mint. And even the thought of it today makes
Does it make you feel a bit bilious?
Not just bilious, yeah. I just like salty bucket.
Yeah.
I could never eat it.
Oh, God.
Never.
No, it doesn't sound like a nice compliment.
No, it wasn't. It was horrible. But anyway, you've got a yummy pudding.
Yeah, so it's a weird one for me because it's funny enough, rice is not my normal. I will fully admit I'm definitely a bread and potato when it comes to cold Yorkshire pudding sort of cold person, but rice is not my thing. But I think again, just hunkering down, and I have revisited in a relish way the humble rice pudding.
Oh.
So I have done this a couple of times actually recently, and we now have a relish recipe for it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you do need I'm just going to rust up what they've got the ingredients in front of me. You do need pudding rice, which is widely available, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you actually don't need that much because obviously you bake this. This is my recipe, but others you can do it on the stove, but I think obviously more traditionally you do it in an oven. And that probably stems from what you were saying, Victorian times, with bread ovens, they could probably shove a rice pudding in at the end when everything's cooling down, leave it in there for a few hours. Yeah. Lovely. So you don't actually need that much rice. So I use a pint of, obviously, whole milk, about 75 to 80 grams of rice, and it goes in what I would call a heavy, dish. I don't know, I can't be any more specific than that. Mine is like a round old Le Creuset one that I've got. Obviously, you need to make sure it can hold.
So you could have a ceramic dish or a glass dish.
Yeah, or one of what I would call those more like cast enamel. Is it enamel?
Yeah.
So they have
I think I remember my granny doing pudding, and she would do it in a glass.
So I literally put in my rice in the bottom. I put sort of probably 2 dessert spoons of sugar, and I've actually been using what I had is some soft brown sugars because I think it's quite nice. That's a good flavour. Pour your milk on. You do sort of have to stir it, so you have to be a bit careful to slosh it everywhere, but you sort of need the sugar to sort of dissolve.
Right. Do you put it on the heat at that point?
No, nothing.
Okay.
It's on cold.
Okay.
Then you grate a lot of nutmeg, and I would say as patient, you grate as much as you can bear as in terms of patient-wise because it takes a long time. You do need sort of at least half a nutmeg to go on top. If not more. Some recipes call for a whole nutmeg.
Yeah. And I would say, can we just say this, Charlie? We would say, please grate your nutmeg. Yeah. Don't just use powdered nutmeg if you possibly can bear it.
And that's what I mean. You can, I've got them here. You can buy them in jars in all the supermarkets now, really. And you just need a tiny little grater, which I do have. Nothing fancy pants. And then you just grate that on top. And then that goes in a sort of moderate oven. I would say sort of 150, possibly up to 170, depending on how hot and cold your oven runs. And I put mine in for about an hour and a half. And what I normally do is I put it in kind of in the last third of whatever extra cooking on a Sunday goes in. So you're trying to, be relatively the oven. And then actually it was you that inspired me. But obviously it's quite nice to go with some fruit. So I've actually found some plums, and I thought I'm just going to sort of not stew them, but kind of make a bit of a compote to go with the rice pudding. So that is my rip. But yes, it's a very simple recipe. Obviously, you can buy milk in pints. I know it's slightly random in Britain. We still sell milk in pints. I think if it's new money, it's 568 millilitres. But it's really handy because it's just a really simple recipe. You don't need to measure out your milk. You just do it.
Do you know what? I'm really, really looking forward to tasting that because I probably haven't had a rice pudding for a gazillion years. And there was something about a rice pudding. Some people like the skin on the top.
Yes,
and
I think skin is
if you've had it,
formed.
Something like you said, soft brown sugar, that would be absolutely delicious.
Yeah, and the other thing I would just say, actually, obviously some recipes add cream, some put, I think, condensed or evaporated milk in. For me, it just adds... I still want that slightly savouriness from the nutmeg. And actually, if you have a lot of evaporated milk, it can be very sweet as well. And I don't think you need that much sugar, personally, because if you then make a compote or something to go with it, you're getting the fruity sugariness.
But also, I think that balance between rice, which is that dryness, but it absorbs, but doesn't actually have what I call lots of flavour. And then you've got lovely, if you're using whole milk anyway, a little bit of sugar, but that lovely spiciness of nutmeg.
Obviously, you can, dabble with it, you can add sort of more like the peel of a lemon, so like
nice.
To your milk, which obviously then gives you a slightly citrus flavour.
Nice.
Which maybe if you aren't serving it then with some compote or some fruit, might be a nice addition if you are just having the rice pudding.
Yeah.
But for this, I just wanted to keep it quite simple and let sort of the pudding and the plums sing, really.
But I'm really looking forward to it. And I have to also, just going back to our school lunches, our school dinners.
Did you have rice pudding?
Yeah, they did have rice pudding, but do you know what they used to have? And a lot of people are going to feel the same way as I felt about the green custard. And that was semolina or tapioca. Yeah. Which is a similar thing to rice pudding, baked. It's just much smaller grain. Yeah. But do you know what? I used to love that. But that would be served again. And it was an easy one for the kitchens to do. No, because it can be quite runny.
No, I know.
But as a child, I guess, I just remember it being very comforting. And randomly, I used to like it. I guess it was milky and creamy and I don't know. And I can't remember what they used to serve it with. I know what they used to serve it with.
Oh, wow. Not more green custard.
No. They put a swirl of jam in the middle.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
Which you can do with the rice pudding.
I think rice pudding is a weird one for me because I think when I was growing up, rice pudding was that, and I remember it was Muller rice pudding, and I had that advert where there was like a tea lady going through an office, and it was all about having Muller rice pudding to keep you going through the day or something. But it was that kind of cold,
so more like a yogurt
style rice pudding.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what maybe up until more recently has sort of put me off. So I think I have that in the back, like you have memories of things.
Yeah.
But this I've done a couple of times, and I have to say it's actually, and I would never sort of, it's a bit like having a pasta salad or whatever, but it cold for like breakfast. A couple of spoons of that.
Or instead of a cereal.
Instead of porridge or something.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that was one of the things that you dug out very kindly for us. Was obviously one of the facts is obviously actually in Victorian times, they embraced things like rice and puddings, and they did things and they added jams and stuff like that. So it's just quite interesting that it's kind of come full circle and now we're making our own kind of modern take on it, I guess. They had plum porridge was their big thing. Which is why I got a bit inspired by the plums.
Yeah, and also I know that they had the plum project, and then of course the Victorians really were the ones who really pushed Christmas. It became why we suddenly have a Christmas pudding, particularly.
But also some of that, obviously, again, a bit like the whole tea thing. Actually, obviously, came from Alba and Saxe-Coburg in sort of Prussia and Germany, rather than actually a British tradition of teas and puddings and things. So So anyway, it's just very interesting. But so the humble rice pudding, but you are doing a rather delicious, what do we call it, main course?
So going back sort of slow cooking and sort of hunkering down. So osso buco.
Yum.
So I saw some lovely veal knuckle the other day, and I thought shin of veal, whatever you use, and I thought I'd do that. And this time it's a little bit of a hybrid. So we've got good old Delia.
Yeah,
she does well, but obviously it's an Italian recipe. And very much. Oh, by the way, osso buco means hole in the bone.
Oh, right.
In Italian.
Okay.
Kind of steady.
Not one of those bear bush again. We'll have to put like an E. We're going to put like an E rating on our.
No. Anyway, so you kind of slow cook that, and we're going to add a few different things, but basically it's onion and some white wine and some stock and some tomatoes, and you sort of slow cook it. Yeah. But we're going to have that because I thought that would be really.
Yeah.
But we haven't done that for a while.
No.
I haven't done osso buco.
I know. I think we're looking. Obviously, we have got a very large collection of photos of food. And we were looking the other day, weren't we? And I think we found one of an osso buco that I think you or I did probably even pre-COVID 2 years ago. But it is a really unctuous, delicious meal.
Oh, yeah. And you add what I call lovely wintry herbs. So these herbs can be used all the time, but bay, which I think I've talked about before, is really for me, it's my next thing to a lemon now. If you add bay or a chili and you cook that first and then you add your other ingredients, it really does help the ingredients sing.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a really good one. I'm
so
looking forward to that.
Yeah, followed
by rice pudding.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah. Charlie, do you want to put another log on the fire?
Oh, yeah. I'm out. I'm on really everyone.
So we were quite excited, weren't we? Because this week we actually shot you.
Yeah. Literally,
shot you. But we did a film shoot. Charlie doing a proper recipe to camera, which we are editing down. We're excited because it's really kickstarted us to going to do our YouTube channel.
Justing the flame.
Justing the flame.
Stir my lag. Yeah, we're going to relaunch our YouTube. And we are putting this amazing video that we can.
Amazing. Very modest.
Wonderful.
Modest. So modest. It was fun though, wasn't it?
Was fun.
It took me back to my days, working in the corporate world and doing so many photo shoots and film shoots, which were hard work. I mean, I always say they're like an iceberg. There's all the work that goes on.
Yeah, you just a little bit
when it's out there. But we did have fun, and I think it's going to be good.
It's a good recipe, and obviously what's quite nice is the recipe that I do. I might not say exactly what it is, but it comes from Portugal, which obviously is where we're headed for Christmas, and obviously we love it. And so again, it's a warming recipe.
Yeah, it is.
But it's again a relish riff on a particular recipe. So hopefully you enjoy that.
Yeah.
But obviously we will communicate when that's all.
Yeah, we're going to do more of those, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, we're also thinking about, we can put our podcasts up on the YouTube channel.
Definitely.
So we're going to be working on that in the next couple of weeks. And then hopefully you can find us on YouTube as well, which we will keep you posted on that.
On every possible social media we can get on it.
But Charlie, just going back, here we are sat in front of the fire. Yeah, and we're thinking about our cosy evening meal that we're going to cook. I mean, I definitely feel that this time of year there is, I really feel like, oh my God, my heart sinks. I think, oh no, it's going to get dark and it's going to be colder and everything. But there's something about lighting candles and
I think we're very, on the whole, positive people, and I think you make the most of the situation. Like we've said this, sometimes we've been on holiday and you get there and you think, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like you need to make a home a bit in a new place, even if it's only for a couple of days. So it's fine. But for me, it is lighting candles. Even when you go on a summer holiday, you get a few bits or even like a pot of herbs. It suddenly feels like your kitchen for that week. You make it yours. Put a stamp on it. Is my thing.
But we like doing that, don't we? Because we like then going and cooking something.
Well, full disclosure, we're already planning on taking candles with us to Portugal for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
So
what I think was,
like
but when we do you remember that time we went to France and we stayed in a windmill? Absolutely amazing holiday in the middle of this field.
Yeah, it was like a meadow.
It was extraordinary when we tried to find it. It was literally
the moonlight.
It didn't have its blades.
The sails.
Or the sails, thank you, Charlie. But it was this amazing renovated to actually be able to live in it.
Yeah. The spiral staircase was something, incredible.
It just wasn't, the guy had done so well.
Pascal.
But I remember when I was driving down these country lanes, it literally was like that. And we were like, we must be able to see it. But you had the hedges either side. And before we just became
it was a
turning in the hedge,
wasn't it, as well? They had the dry stone walls. Yeah, it was incredible.
There it was.
But you have to put another stamp on it when you're there.
That's what I'm saying. We can't wait when we go somewhere. I've just particularly thought about that because we did a lot of cooking there. They didn't seem to have a great barbecue, but we did a bit of outside, but we cooked inside and it was just fantastic.
We did Moorsman, yeah.
Oh, it was just amazing. But we like to, when we arrive somewhere, pretty much, I know most people go, oh, we need to go out. But we go, no, we go out shopping and we cook something and it feels like ours.
Yeah, but I think also, obviously you can eat out. And I think for me, obviously that's sort of, I sort of totally mental on over. Yeah, but trying to find like somewhere that's good to eat. And it's not necessarily about, price or anything. It's more about for me, when I go abroad, I want to eat somewhere that's authentic. Now, I can have steak and chips anywhere in the world. I don't want to go away and have that necessarily. I want to experience the cuisine of that area or try the cuisine of that area. And obviously in France, you've got cheeses of different varieties, wines, there's different breads, cakes, everything. It's incredible. You stay in one bit and 20 minutes down the road it's a completely different cheese. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're very lucky in that in that aspect in certain countries to have that. But it's a bit like when we've been to Greece and stuff, and you try like, we had gyros one evening in Thessaloniki. But it's that night vibe. I mean, it's such a young city in terms of its outlook, I think.
Yeah.
Very much obviously ancient. But I think it depends how you're feeling. And actually, if you just go with the flow and you think, oh, well, that's what everyone else is, all the Greeks are using, why would we be able to go off to a restaurant and eat something completely different? I'd rather try what they're having.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And their restaurant, you go.
And we like picking out those local restaurants.
That's what I mean. But I would say also, when you go, I know it's easy to get swayed by menus and things, but, I would say, if it's busy and it's full of locals, go to that restaurant, try and get a table, even if it's round, because that's where the food's good.
Yeah.
It won't be where we're all sitting necessarily that's good.
No.
Just saying.
No.
Even in this day of, TikTok, Instagram, people film themselves in the restaurant, I think, lots of things can sway things. Anyway, it's all very subjective, isn't it, food, which is why we love talking about it, because there's always something to say.
Anyway, I wanted to say this. So I am going to be trying different egg recipes, I've decided.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been looking through my books, and yesterday I made a really lovely kind of, based on I think it was a slightly Turkish recipe.
Oh, yeah.
But it was basically scrambled eggs. But you'd cooked some onion and cooked Japanese. It was slightly Japanesey. So you cooked an onion, you added some sake, and then you cooked some eggs. But prior to that, you had poached a little bit of salmon.
Oh, yummy.
But you only poached it for like 2 minutes. So it was still, it's slightly cooked on the outside, but not seared. This was soft. I mean, I know salmon is soft even if you sear it. But you then took that, of course, it's still quite raw in the middle. And you had a little bit of lemon juice, but then soy sauce. And then you cooked rice.
Yeah.
So it was something I've not done before, but I really, really fancied it. Okay. And I just think eggs now, we need to really appreciate eggs. And, you do get really beautiful eggs out there.
Yeah.
And I think there is this sort of shift change, isn't there, about how chickens are looked after, where our eggs come from, and all that kind of stuff.
I think the standards are certainly
higher. And also, they're not cheap anymore, eggs. So I was just thinking, but I do love eggs, and they're good for us, okay? But this was just such a simple supper. It was absolutely delicious. And it was just really evenly balanced.
Also wholesome, as in like you just said, evenly balanced, but wholesome meal.
Yeah.
Like good, protein in the egg and the fish and the omega.
Yeah. Anyway, I've realised that in a lot of countries, the egg is a really big deal, and they use a lot of eggs.
Well,
but they mix eggs. Sorry, Charlie, but I was just going to say they mix eggs with spices. I mean, the Japanese use them, but like in Iran, the Middle East, the Far East, all that. So I just suddenly thought, I'm going to try out some of these new, for me, and not for everybody else. Everybody else is probably doing this all the time. I just thought it'd be quite interesting to try out a few of these different egg recipes.
Nice.
And they're not all, some of them are like omelette type things, some of them are more scrambled, some of them you boil them and then you put them in other things like broths and stuff like that. Anyway, that's kind of a little thing that I've just got in my head, and I'm just going to try on that.
Oh, lovely.
Anyway, I thought I'd just throw that in. Eggs.
There we go.
Yes, eggs with spices, eggs with soy sauce, whatever.
I love a good egg.
You are a good egg.
I am a good egg.
Yeah, Master said that once.
He did. I'm a good egg.
He said Charlie's a good egg. I'm not sure.
Actually, I wasn't physical. But I was a good egg.
Alluding to, but you're a good egg.
I look like an egg. But yeah. No, I have to say, there are times I've had it when I've been away, on like solo trips and things especially. I've actually woken up, or I've dreamt about a boiled egg. Genuinely, and I've had to have them. And I remember being in Portugal, and they have good eggs in Portugal. What I was going to say, actually, you just said about how other countries use a lot of eggs. I mean, I have been going through my Greek, Portuguese cookbook, obviously ahead of when we go away.
Yeah.
Some of their recipes use like 2 dozen eggs.
2 dozen?
To make a cake. I mean, it is a lot of egg.
Wow.
I think it's because that country unfortunately was under dictatorship for a very long time.
Yeah.
Chickens were probably abundant and everyone could probably have chicken, or in the garden,
or egg was the only thing
that's what I mean.
Really get hold of,
and probably affordable.
Yeah.
So a lot of their recipes, even the pasta gelato, we have to remember that actually, I think, and I'm hoping my memory serves me well, is actually the original recipe comes from a convent, and it was using an egg. That's what they had to do. That's what they had. I mean, obviously now it's been refined and it's a bit more kind of, you can buy Portuguese custard tarts everywhere. But originally, I think it was all to do with using up eggs that they had. So when you go there, lots of their inverted commas pudding is egg based. So there isn't a lot of other stuff.
It's such a good food.
But yeah, I had to make rudimentary egg cups out of espresso cups. I had to have boiled egg. It's ridiculous. I was only away 2 weeks. And I had to do boiled eggs. But it was, again, they have very high standards in terms of eggs. So the yolk is delicious. But I'm a bit naughty. I do have to sprinkle a bit of salt into a capped boiled egg. I cap it and then I sprinkle a bit into the egg itself.
That's right. Charlie, you're not the only person. I think a lot of people do that.
It just elevates the egg beyond. It's a bit like having a steak without salt. Again, it gives you this
you need seasoning.
Yeah.
Get it. Whatever you're cooking, you need seasoning. Seasoning's good. You need to enjoy the food. I think it brings it out.
I do get a bit annoyed with this sort of the salt thing because as one that actually suffers from cramp, if I'm honest, your body does need salt. And there's been times where I haven't had it and then you get things. And so I think there is, everything in moderation, I know. But we do need salt in cooking because a lot of, though you can use the freshest, organic, goodness knows what ingredient, and if you don't season it properly, it still really won't be that flavoursome. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do need the salt to elevate something.
Well, I remember reading some scientists or doctors saying that this whole salt thing is a misnomer because actually our bodies really like salt.
I know. No, we sweat salt.
Of course we do. So it's a natural thing to us. I mean, if you were eating tons of salt, no, that's bad for you, of course. But let's face it, it's probably better than for you than sugar.
Yeah, but we always, or an E number or something.
Well, E numbers, forget it. Not even that natural.
But the joke is, isn't it? All like the Mediterranean diet is full of oil, sugar, salt, and all those kind of things. Ours is less of it, but we seem to die earlier. But there's something to be said.
I mean,
about the way of life.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, it's just funny with salt. We get a bit.
Well, we're going to go and cook.
The fire is blazing.
Charlie, what are we going to be talking about? We've got our last episode.
Well, we've done 12 episodes.
2, yeah. So next time, which will take us to the end of the month, end of November.
Well, I suppose it's quite a nice time of year we're talking about hunkering down. It's obviously the seasonal.
What have we got coming up?
I know, stir it up.
Stir it up, Sunday.
Yeah.
So more pudding.
More pudding. You won't know because we're not here. We have to know New Year's Eve.
Well, that's so lovely, though.
I think it's the smell. You know what I was saying about it getting dark and, trying to food enlightens our life or whatever. I actually smell, like sensory things, I think are really important. So I guess that's probably why we start seeing Christmas trees, because it's the sensory thing. It makes us feel a bit better, doesn't it? I mean, even where we live, they put up the Christmas decorations in town and it all looks lovely. I guess smell is the next sort of like really kind of enhancing thing when you're cooking or making a Christmas pudding. Again, things like nutmeg, wonderful smell.
Gosh, yeah.
And like your thing, like the lemon, the bay leaf, it always just, yummy.
Yeah. No, I think the whole thing about cooking and eating is a whole sensory experience.
That's what we say, isn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how simple it is. You don't have to be a top cook to enjoy all those things.
And also just to add flavour. A rice pudding, genuinely, everyone that's listening, it's delicious. But it is incredibly simple to make. You only need to pour things into a bowl, stir it, put it in an oven. It's not, do you know what I mean? There's no technique. I'm not going to pretend it's really complicated. I'm not, because it isn't.
The relish rice pudding.
Yeah, the relish rice pudding.
R.R.P.
So I think we are going to do some more videos because we've now sort of worked out the technicalities of doing them. So,
so I think maybe for our last one, should we do a bit of a live chat while we're doing something?
Do that.
Then we could take some video as well.
Yeah. And then, we're going to be doing episodes not just in this country. We will try and do.
Well, we're going to kickstart, series 3, and we might not be in the UK, but around there. But anyway, do share with us if there's anything you'd like us to cook, or you've got any comments or feedback. Please share it. DM us via Instagram, isn't it, Charlie?
Instagram and TikTok.
We are going to get on our website for the new year. We've got a few things that we've got to crack on with.
Yeah.
And do share. Please share.
Yeah.
The more followers we have and listeners, that really helps support us.
At Relish Lifestyle on Instagram and TikTok. And we're also Relish_Lifestyle on YouTube. So when we are running, we will be getting that done. That's where we are. So we already have a channel. Just need to upload some video.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to pour a glass of wine, sit by the fire, peel our potatoes, Brussels sprouts.
Sunday supper.
Get the roast pudding in the oven. Anyway, only leaves for us to say, keep relishing life.